Good afternoon to all of you, and let us begin our class for today. So, in my today's class, I will start a poem, A Thing of Beauty by John Keats, from your book Flamingo. So, before I proceed with my class, I will tell you how I will continue this poem, the explanation of this poem. So, I have divided the poem into two parts, and in this class, we will only focus to the first part of the poem where we will see about the poet, then we'll come to know about the background, then we'll read some lines from the poem and I'll explain those lines and some important words. And in the next class, we will continue with the rest of the poem. Okay, now let's see about the poet. Now, see, we all have heard about John Keats, and John Keats was born in London in the year 1795 and died in Rome in 1821 at the young age of 25 due to illness. And we all know that he is a romantic poet, and his poetry is characterized by sensual imagery, and in his most popular work is which is a series of odes. So what are odes? So odes are some lyrical poem which is meant for a particular subject, and today his poems are one of the most sought after creations in English literature. And the poem A Thing of Beauty, which we will learn today, this poem is an extract from his poem Endymion, a poetic romance which was published in 1818, and this poem Endymion, a poetic romance, is considered to be an epic poem. Now see these points. John Keats, 31st October 1795, 23rd February 1821, was an English poet. He was one of the key figures in the second generation of the Romantic movement. He is a highly imaginative, sensitive, and a sensuous poet. He is a worshipper of beauty and is content to give expressions in his poetry. He is marked by sensuousness, imagery, and love of nature. And Keats, as the supreme lover of beauty, says, A thing of beauty is a joy forever. So, this is all about the poet which we need to know for this poem. Now, let us come to the background of the poem. Okay, now if you see the background of the poem, as I already told you all that this poem A Thing of Beauty is an extract from the poem Endymion, a poetic romance. So, this poem is Endymion, a poetic romance. This poem is based on Greek mythology. So this poem is about a shepherd whose name is Endymion, and this poem is also about the quest for his love, Diana. Diana is moon goddess, and how in his quest he falls in love with an earthly maiden who later on turns out to be Diana herself. Now this poem Endymion, a poetic romance, since it is considered to be an epic one, this poem is a very long poem and it consists of 1000 lines. And from that poem, the poem which I will explain today, A Thing of Beauty, is just the first 24 lines of the poem Endymion, a poetic romance. So, in those first 24 lines, John Keats describes about the beauty, describes about beauty in different forms, where people can find beauty in all sorts of things, both earthly and unearthly things. So let us see. The poem A Thing of Beauty is an extract from his long poem Endymion, a poetic romance. This poem is based on a Greek legend in which Endymion, a beautiful young shepherd and poet, lived on Mount Latmus and had a vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess. You can tell her as Cynthia or Diana. And the enchanted youth means Endymion, he resolved that he will seek her out, and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. So this poem depicts the human's soul's quest for ideal beauty. And Endymion stands for the poet as a man, and Cynthia stands for ideal beauty. So it was Endymion's quest for the moon goddess whom he fell in love. And this whole poem, Endymion, a poetic romance, it describes about his journey. It describes about his quest for his love of life. But later on, he falls in love with an earthly maiden, and who later turns out to be Diana herself. Okay, now let us see about the poem. So this poem, A Thing of Beauty, is an extract from Keats' poem Endymion. And in this poem, Keats declared that a thing of beauty is a joy forever, a joy even in the midst of disease, sufferings, and disappointments of life. This joy of beauty came to him through his senses. He drank in the beauty of external world with all his senses. He was excited by the beauty of the external world and therefore sang out with wonder and delight. The daffodils, the reels, and the masked rose, all are the objects of beauty and provide joy forever. He is excited by the beauty of the external world and therefore have wonderful and delightful experience. Now see, this poem, A Thing of Beauty, from the title itself, we can say that John Keats is trying to describe all the beautiful objects of nature. So, as we all know, that proverb, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. So, what I find it beautiful, you might not find it beautiful. The definition of beauty is different for everyone. So, according to John Keats, he tells us that beauty can be in any form. It can be in a flower, it can be in a tree which is dead, it can also be found in some clear rills, in marks roses, in the forest, in the sun, moon, stars, everywhere. So, beauty is in different forms in everywhere. And it is how we perceive the world, it is how we experience the senses. So, I will give a brief summary of this poem, what we will learn or what we will see, what John Keats tells us. So, A Thing of Beauty is a poem, as I already told you all, it is from the poem Endymion, a poetic romance. And the poet says that a beautiful thing is a source of endless joy, and it has eternal beauty which never fades away. A beautiful thing is like a shady shelter which gives us a sleep full of sweet dreams, good health, and relaxation. Our attachments to this earth or our attachments to these earthly things are all like a flowery wreath. Flowery wreath means it's like a band actually through which we are connected to it, and it binds us to all the materialistic things. It seems that we are being trapped here, okay, and it keeps away from all the eternal happiness. And if you see around, the earth is full of hatred, greed, and negativity. And according to the poet, the gloominess, the sadness caused by the negativity, it fades away, and we get a positive vibe from the beautiful things that surrounds us. Now, the poet actually lists out some of the beautiful things that surround us. And he says that numerous creations of God, like the sun which gives us energy, the moon's beauty, the trees which gives us shade, are the natural beauties around us. Now, the various animals like sheep that surround us make our world lively. The pretty flowers like daffodils make the world green and lively. the flowing stream of water, cool and refresh us in the hot summer season. The forests, which are full of pretty masked rose flowers, are a very beautiful sight to our eyes. All these are the things of beauty. And at last, he even tells us also that the stories of the brave soldiers who laid their lives to protect their people are beautiful and inspiring. These beautiful things are like a fountain of immortality bestowed upon us by God. They inspire us to live on and maintain our faith in goodness. So, this is the overall summary of the poem, A Thing of Beauty. So, now we will read the poem line by line. I'll explain it line by line. Okay, so let's begin. A Thing of Beauty. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases, it will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Now, see, a thing of beauty. The title of the poem, A Thing of Beauty. So, it talks about all the beautiful objects. So, what Keats tells us is that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Now, just imagine a particular scene, a beautiful scenery, or a beautiful hillside, or a mountain area where you have visited earlier. Now, during this pandemic situation, if you sit and you just try to recollect what you saw or where you have visited, that image will easily come in front of you. You can visualize in your mind, and that visualization will give you some sense of satisfaction, some sense of joy, some sense of happiness when you think about it. So the same thing, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. So that beautiful sight will give you happiness forever. Okay, that happiness which you will feel, it is its loveliness increases. When you think it again, it will again give you happiness. Then it will never pass into nothingness. So that sense of happiness, that sense of satisfaction which you got will never pass into nothingness. It will never become zero. It will always be there with you. Alright? But will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Now, when you are healthy, when you are happy, when you are satisfied, so these beautiful objects, it serves us as a bower. So bower means a pleasant place in the shade under a tree. So what does bower do? So in a hot sunny day, when you get a shady place to rest, your body gets satisfied, your body gets a place to revitalize itself, and it will make us, or it will help us to sleep properly with full of sweet dreams. So when we don't have any tensions in our mind, so when we don't have any troubles, what we always have a full night's sleep with sweet dreams. And when dream comes, when you are having a proper sleep, and then you are healthy and you are quietly breathing, means you are healthy from all sides. So who provides this healthiness? It is the thing of beauty actually, who gives us a dream full of sweet dreams, and we can sleep properly, and we will breathe healthily. So the poet says that the beauty stays forever and it never fades away. Rather, it increases with the passing time. The perception of the poet regarding beauty is that it never goes off with the passing time, rather, it beautifies more and more. So, for the poet, beauty is like a beautifully shady tree under whose shade all the creatures can sleep peacefully and enjoy good health. Now, now if you see this, the impressions of beauty actually keeps lurking in our mind, and it makes our life beautiful. fragrant and secure like a bower. Now see these lines, and a sleep full of sweet dreams. Now see the joy, or the joy which we got actually from beauty is similar to the joy of a blissful sleep full of pleasant dreams. So, beauty also relieves our mind from tensions, and it gives us a soothing effect, and ultimately, it provides a relaxed state of sleep with sweet dreams. Now, see quiet breathing. So, quiet breathing means it's a sense of peace and serenity actually that one experiences on seeing beautiful things. So beautiful sight act like nutrition for a healthy mind and refreshes and relaxes us by driving away aggression and restlessness. So this is what actually Keats wants to convey through these lines of the poem. Therefore, on every morrow are we reading a flowery bend to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of inhuman dirt, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways made for our searching. Now, every morrow, every morrow means every morning, every day, or every passing day, we are reading. Reading means we are surrounding ourselves, we are encircling ourselves, or we are making a flowery bend to bind us to the earth. So every morning, every passing day, we are making a bend, we are creating a connective link which binds us to the earth. Now, see, reading a flowery bend, it is used here as a metaphor, and you can say that the beautiful things of our life binds us to the earth. So, every morning or every passing day, what we do is we prepare a wreath of flowers to bind, attach us to this earth, or strengthen our earthly life. Now, now the beauty, uh, like, or when we say flowery bend, like it can be anything, any beautiful things. It can be like beautiful memories, or it can be some beautiful objects which binds us to the earth. Now coming to the next line, spite of despondence. So spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways made for our searching. Now, spite of despondence, it means sufferings and hopelessness of men, which we experiences in our life due to anger, hatred, and greed. And if you see around yourself, you will see there is a lot of cruelty going on in this earth. And we also see that people are nowadays lacking human qualities. So it is said here of the inhuman dirt of noble natures. Now we, you human beings, are lacking, or we have a dirt of some noble natures in ourselves. So we are all greedy, we all have hatred inside us, we are all cruel. And the poet sees that life as a struggle where men often suffers pain and loss of hope. So there is always pain and struggle in our life, and also there is anger, all because of loss of hope. Now, inhuman shortage of good qualities in people, as I already told you, it means that of the inhuman dirt of noble natures. Now, we see that man is selfish and self-centered by nature. We all know there are very few actually who rise above petty differences and show generosity. And of the gloomy days, yeah, gloomy days means we suffer from pain of defeat, um, hopelessness, which makes life and hateful. Means you can say that the bad days which we face in our lives, of the gloomy days. All right. So life is a struggle actually for success, and our path towards it get obstructed by many hurdles. Okay, gets obstructed by many hurdles like selfishness, and there are also deceit in it. Now, of all the unhealthy and overdarkened ways made for our searching. It means unhealthy means the trials and the tribulations one encounters in his journey of life actually is used while in the journey of our life which we choose to get success over evil. So life, you can say, it's a it's a long and a dark tunnel with a light at the end. We all try to reach that end so that we can get the light in our life. And to reach that light, we have to cross the darkness, and we search for ways and means to overcome that darkness, or that darkness. When we choose the path to overcome that darkness, that path may be evil also. So see these lines. Now, as a whole, the poet actually tells us that every day it is the beauty which fills us with the spirit to live. It is the beauty which builds the desire in us to live through, though there are sadness, though there are cruel people around us. So here the poet wants to say that without beauty, the earth will be full of cruel people, sad and gloomy moments. Alright, and it is the beauty which is created by God actually helps us to remove all these inhuman things in our lives. Okay, these are some important words from the lines which we read today. So morrow means the next day, reading, surrounding or covering, spite, in spite of, despondence is sadness, dirt, lack of something, gloomy, sad. So the rest of the poem will be continued in the next part of the video. And for today I will wind up my class, and I hope everyone understood, and thank you for your presence in the class.